welcome in everyone tonight. This is Horror Talk. I am ShinyMikablu and I am joined by my lovely co-host Vineyardtrio. And tonight we will be discussing the paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren. Isn't that right?
We sure are. I'm excited.
I am too. So for those of you who do not know us, like I said, I am ShinyMikablu. I am here live every other Monday and every Sunday with Indie Horror Night. I usually play a couple indie horror games on stream, usually ones that may have been passed over or overlooked, just some kind of lesser known games to bring them into the public light. You know, I play the bad games so that you don't have to. Jan, what do you do?
Nothing.
Absolutely.
No. Absolutely nothing. Right now. I normally play games in Discord for right now. Hopefully, fingers crossed, our internet will be up and functioning much better. Fiber internet soon, fingers crossed. Yes, please. Then I can get back to streaming and I can go back to playing games and cooking and doing other things and being cool again.
Yeah, well, here's hoping. I know you've been waiting for that for a couple months. At the very least.
Almost a year, yeah.
A little more than a couple.
Yeah.
Right, so we have the Mechanical Whimsy getting first. Ha! I said it right this time, Trev. Congratulations on getting first. Duskmane Alice, welcome into you as well. And Silbot, you too. Good evening, everyone. Like I said, this is Horror Talk, and we will be discussing Ed and Lorraine Warren. So, if you don't already know who they are, Ed and Lorraine Warren are possibly, actually very likely, the two most famous paranormal investigators in history. They were the ones who investigated the cases of the Amityville house and the Conjuring house, as well as Annabelle.
Yep. Sorry. I do want to note. I'm getting a tickle in my throat, which is just excellent because the people in my house are all sick, and I think it's slowly made its way over to me, and of course it would happen right before the show would start. I don't think I was like, oh crap, I'm getting a tickle in my throat. So, if I have to stop talking and you see me start looking like I'm coughing, but I'm not making noises, I'm muted, and I'm totally hacking up a lung. Anyway, so Ed and Lorraine Warren were American paranormal investigators. They were also authors, and Ed was also an artist.
A very little known fact.
Yeah, little known fact. They were associated with prominent reports of hauntings from the 1950s up into the present times, up into actually 2019. Ed was a World War II U.S. Navy vet who became a self-taught and self-professed demonologist, author, and lecturer. Lorraine professed to be clairvoyant and a light trance medium who worked closely with her husband. In 1952, the Warrens founded the New England Society for Psychic Research, or NESPR, the oldest ghost hunting group in New England. Sharing is caring? No, it's not, Trev. Stop it.
Not that kind of sharing.
Not that kind of... I'll take any other kind of sharing, but that. No, thank you. Excuse me. They authored numerous books about the paranormal and about their private investigations into various reports of paranormal activity. They claim to have investigated over 1,000 cases during their career and have been involved with various supernatural claims, such as the Snedeker family haunting, which I probably have butchered that, the Enfield poltergeist, and the Smurl haunting, as well as claims of demonic possession in the trial of Arnie Cheyenne Johnson.
And if I'm not mistaken, Arnie was the one of the main characters in the fourth Conjuring movie. Fourth?
Yes.
Third? Yes, third.
The Devil Made Me Do It.
Yes. That one.
Yep. Yes. He is in the movie portrayed as a teenage boy dating their teenage daughter of the family, who is actually the first ones to be possessed. It's the small son of the family who is possessed, um, which is the brother to the girlfriend of Arnie. And during the exorcism, Arnie yells, "Take me instead," because he's just a little boy. And so I think, if I'm not mistaken, 42 demons jump bodies
Something like
into
that, yeah.
Arnie. Yeah, it was some astronomical number. They went from the little boy to Arnie, and from there you follow Arnie's journey being possessed, and he ends up murdering somebody. He murders his girlfriend's boss, who owns a dog kennel and is also their landlord, I think is what it is in the movie as well.
I think so. Something like that.
Something like that. Because funny enough, the true story is it's different, but not too very much. But yeah, he ends up killing that guy, and then you basically see how the trial kind of goes in a way. But then I think they take the movie elsewhere and make it more dramatic by having a witch in it and all this other stuff.
Which, as far as we know, was not what actually happened in that case.
No. Instead, he goes through the big court battle and all that other stuff, and it was quite boring because legalities and whatnot.
Yeah. Also,
And
Snowy,
hey,
welcome
Snowy.
in. So there was a video we saw recently on YouTube. Well, I say recently, it's been a couple months at this point, I think. I don't remember. It was one of the paranormal investigator videos that we watched. I don't remember which one it was, if it was Sam and Cody, or Cody,
Colby.
Sam and Colby, or if it was, what's the other one we watch?
Overnight.
Overnight, that
The
one.
Overnight Crew.
Right. I don't remember which one of those it was, but they actually, I believe they had an interview with Arnie.
It was
Right?
the Overnight Crew.
It was the Overnight Crew. Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So they talked to Arnie about like his experience and stuff, and obviously Arnie is an older man at this point. He is definitely no longer a teenager.
No.
But it was a really really interesting episode, and I'm gonna see actually if I can find the link to that. Share that with you guys.
If you can't, which you should be able to, I think you just go search for Overnight and it should be there. Easy. Because it was in 4 parts. I think the first one was kind of a backstory-ish, and then the second and third ones were them doing the investigation in the museum. And the second one was
don't play. Don't play. Thank you.
Don't play YouTube.
I hate it when YouTube, they changed it so that now people or channels can make like a featured video or whatever, so that it auto plays when you open their channel, and that's what that was. Yes, no, sound alerts are off tonight because this is a talk show. This is not a gaming thing where you're supposed to mess with me by playing those sounds.
That, and only one of us can hear the sounds anyway, so.
That is true.
And it ain't me.
While I am looking for this particular episode, Jan, why don't you start talking a little bit about what paranormal investigation actually is?
I would love to. So, I know quite a few of you that are here. You guys know about paranormal investigating. You guys know all about the spoopy stuff. But then there are some people that just are like, paranormal investigating, what does it mean? What do they do? What even is how do? So let's kind of talk about it. Firstly, paranormal investigating. When did it start? No one knows exactly when humans began looking for the spirits and demons, but the first known popular research of paranormal dates back to the 19th century with a psychic researcher Harry Price as early as 1920. So it actually hasn't been around for too very long. We've only been ghost hunting and looking into, like, specifically looking into and exploring how it works with equipment for 100 years. Like, that's mind-boggling to me to think that it's only been 100 years, and that's it for the length of time that we've been alive as humans in general. Like, that's no one before decided, hey, you know what about the dead? Let's try and talk to them.
I guarantee that paranormal investigating, and I use air quotes just because like I use the term investigating loosely here. I'm sure that has been around for as long as we as humans, like, have believed in spirits of the dead.
Right.
It just
right.
was never like really documented because up until that point, there was no real way to record any encounters.
Right.
Also, Snowy, thank you for redeeming Hydrate, Don't Dihydrate. We will both choose to hydrate, and we will choose to not dihydrate. Hope you
I
have water.
think also I don't. I have alcohol. Isopropyl alcohol. Isopropyl alcohol.
Yeah, don't drink that. I don't want to be investigating in our next episode.
Can you? That sounds fun. I'll hydrate with this soda.
And it's got water in it. It's good enough.
So hydrated. Think I'll go blind? Is that how I already went blind?
Chris, welcome in.
Wrong alcohol to drink. You're not wrong.
All right, so real quick, I found the episodes of Overnight we were talking about. Which one was it that had the interview?
Ricola, not that one. I think it might be the third one, because the fourth one should be the VHS tape, right?
Right. Yeah. All right, so this, I'm going to paste this link in chat. I'm also going to paste it in the Horror Talk channel on my server.
That sounds great.
This is the link to the first episode of Overnight's channel in the Horror Museum with the real actual Annabelle doll. This is technically a 4-part series on their channel, but the fourth video, I'm sorry, is uncut tape where they actually use properly old recording equipment, just like Ed and Lorraine Warren.
Like the big shoulder VHS recording mechanisms. This tastes like ass.
And we will be talking about the Warren Museum later in tonight's episode.
It says, for a long time, paranormal events and entities have been purview of religion and practitioners, not really scientific inquiry. Exactly.
Yep.
That's kind of what we're saying, like, with the whole paranormal investigating. Like, the point of it is, like, we've only been investigating, like, actively investigating for 100 years, and by that, it's that taboo, like, oh, let's go look for ghosts, use equipment, let's get a bunch of people together and go, like, looking for them, whether they're good, bad, demonic, whatever. I think before then it was they know that there's the existence of, but they only want to go for, like, loved ones. Like, they're not gonna go searching and trying to get answers and document it in any way, shape, or form, except for within the last 100 years.
Because again, that's about when proper recording equipment has been made available to people. You need to spit that out.
This Ricola tastes Ricola.
Hashtag not sponsored by Ricola.
By the way, yes, I almost choked on it. I don't know. It tastes like minty earth things. I feel like I'm outside touching grass with my mouth.
Talk about a
Anyway,
haunting experience there.
yeah. I'm gonna have nightmares about Ricola. Cough drops. Oh, God. Ugh. Anyway, let's get
Delicious
back to talking
grass.
about delicious grass. Yeah, right, exactly.
Yes,
I
it's a
mean,
good.
everyone tells me I need to go outside and touch grass. I didn't say with what part of my body.
As if you wouldn't burst into flames as soon as you step outside.
I will. I will die. But let's get back to paranormal investigating. So we understand it's a newer practice. Ghost hunting, however, the process of investigating locations that are reportedly haunted by ghosts, typically use a variety of electronical devices, including the EMF or K2 meters, which EMF stands for
Electromagnetic field.
electromagnetic field. Thank you.
Jen, welcome
I
in.
always forget. Digital thermometers. I mean, you can't exactly go around with a regular ass thermometer. Here goes time for your anal probing of your temperature. That'd be fucking hilarious. Can that be a thing
That
in
actually would
Phasmophobia?
be.
Just run up behind the ghost real quick. Boom! Right in its beehole. It's negative 4 degrees in here. Run! That'd be awesome. That'd be great. Anyways, cameras. Cameras, like clicky cameras. And as Ed and Lorraine Warren used to do way back in the day, they used to have the big clunky, those of you that are old, like me and Mika and Jen, and you guys know the big RCA recorders, the big ones. But now they're like big. Actually, they're this big. Cameras. This thing is like, I got a rock in my mouth. I am licking a minty rock. Fuck grass. This is a minty rock.
Oh, good lord.
Like the news type camera shit, probably at the very beginning, and then they became more portable. But it's so funny. I will say it was in Conjuring 2 when they were doing the Enfield case, where it shows a little clip of Ed picking up that camera crew's camera, their camcorder, and I mean, he puts that thing on his shoulder and he looks over at the camera guy and he goes, "It's so light." Oh my god, I fucking lost it the first time I saw that. Oh man.
That thing had to weigh like at least 15, 20 pounds still. Those old cameras are
Right.
heavy.
They were. They were heavy. I remember my parents would take turns recording during events.
One
like
second.
family gatherings.
Yeah, 1 second. Chris, if that was a link, I am sorry, but links are not allowed in my chat other than moderators posting them. If you would like to
Share it
send
with the sister.
Yeah, if you would like to send it to Jen and she can take a look at it, and if she deems it appropriate for tonight's chat, then she can post it herself. I do apologize for that. It's just a measure against bots coming in and spamming.
Yep. But yes, but I remember our parents doing like family events or whatever, and literally all the adults would take turns because they would, after a few minutes or so of one person carrying this big heavy ass camcorder around, one, it would get hot, and then two, they're like, "It's so heavy, I gotta get it off my shoulder. Your turn to record." Just, I remember when they came out with the little handheld ones. Whew. I had to get one. I wanted one. Touch it. Thank you, Jen. Touching grass with your mouth. Thank you.
Chris, thank you for getting that clip. If you would like to go ahead and post it in the clips channel on my server, that would be much appreciated. Thank you very much.
I don't know if I need to sneeze or cough.
Probably both.
It's a sneeze? Maybe? It was a sneeze. Just one? Yes, we're good. Okay, great.
Bless you.
It's all that rock licking I'm doing. Oh, did she? You heard Lily? I'm sorry. Anyway, so cameras, picture cameras, big cameras, little cameras, phone cameras, thermographic readers. Those are, Mika, a thermometer.
Look at me. I don't know technology.
I always think it's funny because I'll be like, the thermometer, and Mika will be like, thermometer? It's a thermometer, a meter that tells the thermo.
Yeah, so Jan and I play Phasmophobia together quite a bit, and we have a ton of fun doing it. And actually, funnily enough, Phasmophobia is pretty similar to how you would do paranormal investigating in real life. You would go in, use the tools at your disposal, I mean, cameras, thermometers, EMF readers, stuff like that. And you, in Phasmophobia, you go figure out which particular room the ghost is in. Now, in real life cases, most times ghosts are generally confined to a building rather than a room. You always rip you one on it? Yes. Yes, we do. Because your reactions are hilarious. In real life, ghosts tend to be confined to buildings rather than rooms. And we've, obviously in movies, like the Conjuring movies, we've seen where the ghosts are like every single room in the house. There was one, I believe it was the first one we actually just watched recently, where there were multiple ghosts all being kind of like controlled by one stronger one, but they were in many rooms of the house. We're discussing Zach Baggins, or this is why we drink, call him Zach Bagel Bites. I have no clue who you're talking about, Fallout, but welcome.
I know who you're talking about. No, we're not talking about Zach Baggins.
Yeah, we are discussing Ed and Lorraine Warren and their paranormal investigations.
Yep, the OGs. Do kids say that now? Do they still say that? Is that a thing? Should I stop? I'll stop.
I'm older than you. I don't know. I'm older than you, and you have a kid. You should know this better than me.
Let me go holler for him and ask him if he says OG, which I know he doesn't. Anyways, the thermographic readers are the ones where they're the display, and it tells it's think alien. It's alien vision. It's basically the hot and cold sensors.
Yeah.
In your hand. You have an alien in your hand instead of alien. Not alien, predator. I do that every time, Mika. Every time. I call it predator. I call it predator.
Jan and I have been on
and Christoph.
Yeah. Jan and I have been on a little bit of a predator thing lately.
Infrared, yes. Thank you, Trev. Yes. A holdable heat vision, yes. And I'm over here like this. Like, it's predator. God damn it. It's not alien. I do that every fucking time. I'm like, alien? I'll be like, Mika, you want to watch that new alien movie? You mean predator? That's what I said. That's what I said.
So what Jan is trying to explain is that she's talking about the predator's infrared vision. They actually have infrared cameras. Well, they've had infrared cameras out in real life for a very long time, and that's one of the tools that they use to find cold spots or hot spots, or like any kind of entity giving off or sucking in any kind of heat energy, because that's how you would see it, is on an infrared camera, which measures generated heat.
Yep. And then we have night vision, which is a more new age thing. New age. They didn't exactly have that 100 years ago. They weren't going around. Harry Price wasn't like, let's turn on night vision. You know what I'm saying? 1920s, they didn't have it. And then, of course, you have This little rock in my mouth. No, not that. You don't take that on a ghost hunt. You also have audio recorders.
Look at Mike. Oh, welcome in. No better tool than your eyeballs. Yeah. I mean,
Yep.
there are times where your eyes can't see things that cameras can pick up, especially thermal imaging cameras, because we as humans do not have infrared vision. So we do need tools to help us see that.
And vice versa. There's sometimes camera will not pick up what your eyes see.
Yeah. There's some incredible tools out there. There absolutely are.
Yeah.
Yep. The field of paranormal investigation has been making leaps and
the
bounds in
aforementioned
technology.
threat, Mike.
But mostly because we're adapting tools that are already available for public use and realizing that, hey, you know, there's this thing that's meant for this other thing, but we can use it for what we're doing. And it works perfectly. Well, I would say perfectly, but still. Look at Mike. Oh, thank you very much for the follow. It is very much appreciated. And
Thank you, Jen.
Jen, thank you for that clip. I'm pretty sure Chris probably took that clip because he is a master clip.
Nope, it was clipped by Jen. It says right there, clipped by Jen. Learn to read.
Oh, it does actually say clip, Jen. Sorry, Jen. Sorry, I apologize.
You need to learn to read. Used to hunt, but it was like 20 years ago, so there have been huge strides since. Yes. So of course we have, like I said, with the audio recorders, I know they used to use way back in the day the old microphones and have a little like a cassette, or even I'm sure that they even did it on a 8-track. Who knows? But I don't know if that's how Ed and Lorraine Warren started out with an 8-track, or if they did it with a cassette. But I know they used to take like the big skinny, it looked like a huge probe microphone.
Really? That's the best way you could describe it.
You fucking describe it then. You describe how these old ass microphones used to look. They used to look like a fucking long probe or a giant rave stick that didn't glow.
Okay,
also be called a glow stick.
Okay, fair. Got a point.
Okay. And then, of course, as time has went on, we've gotten things. Radio Shack. That probably covers it. Yeah, probably. And of course, as time has went on, things have gotten more condensed and more portable.
More affordable as well.
I was just about to say, and way more affordable. I know. Do you remember the exact one that they say is like the aforementioned Mike might know, the end all be all playback recorder?
I don't remember.
Oh, you know what I'm talking about though? The one that literally will only play back what it hears, like what it actually picks up instead of just the dead space.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about because I think either Sam and Colby or Overnight, one of those guys use it. I know what you're talking about. I don't know the name of it.
Yeah, and I know the giant rave stick. Jen's getting it again. Boom mic. No. I think Sam and Colby had borrowed one from another set of investigators because they don't have one that does that in particular.
SB7 Spirit Box. Fallout saying Spirit Box.
No.
Is that it?
Is it? I don't know. It's a playback recorder, like when you do EVP sessions, and you want to get it's not a spirit box, which, by the way, people that don't know spirit box, it literally just cycles through radio stations, and you are able to try to get what you hear is the ghost saying words or phrases or sentences to you in response.
He's a digital recorder, but it recorded everything.
Recorded everything.
Yeah,
there's one in particular that they call the end all be all recorder out there that legitimately only records what it hears and picks up, like the sounds it picks up, and that's what it plays back, instead of you, like, if I was to be in a room and I'd be like, how old are you? It wouldn't
I'm
catch
looking
all
it
that
up.
dead space. Instead, it would literally just be like, how old are you? You know what I'm saying? Like, it would be picking up whatever the ghost may try to say.
Right. Google is not being helpful.
Of course not.
Yeah, it's going. I did a search for audio recorder that only records sounds it picks up, and it's going through. Oh, is your microphone only picking up from the left side or the right side? Here's how to fix it. That's not going to be helpful to me.
I don't know, Alice. I've actually not seen that Ghostbusters movie.
So I have a confession to make. I did not see the first Ghostbusters movie until 2 years ago. I've never seen any other Ghostbusters movie.
Goosebumps?
Shush.
Goose boosters?
Shush.
Oh my god, Ghostbusters!
But actually, speaking of Ghostbusters, modern paranormal investigators do not use laser sticks to capture ghosts, or whatever they call those things,
The
photon packs
grid?
or whatever.
Oh, the photon packs! I thought you were going after laser grids.
Yeah, the laser grid is what they use to keep trapped. I'm talking about the photon packs that they use to actually capture them. Proton packs, yes. I was close. Chris.
They're digital voice recorders that do that. They're voice activated, but they're hit or miss. Yeah, this one was like, they really went into it, what it was, and for the life of me, I can't remember who made it or what. I don't think it's a Sony one. Anyway, let's moving on. We are on this train. We need to get off this train and get onto the next train. We're at the stop. They're waiting for us to get off and go on. I don't know if you can see her, but she hollering at me, and now she's on the back of his chair.
Vibrational EVP microphone plus EM magnetic pickup. Maybe? I have no clue. But yeah, I know another tool.
I think it was a Sony.
I know another tool that Sam and Colby specifically use. Sam and Colby is a paranormal investigation channel that Jen and I watch fairly often as well. They're actually pretty entertaining.
They're entertaining because they add a little bit of comedy into their investigations as well, and they also give you a brief history of the place that they are investigating, which is always an A+ in mine and Mika's books, because we love to know how it got so spooky.
Yep, absolutely. But I know one of their favorite things that they use is they call it a cat ball. It actually kind of looks like a cat toy. It's about this big around.
No, it is.
It's an actual cat ball.
It's an actual cat ball.
Okay, well apparently it's an actual cat ball. But yeah, it looks exactly like a cat toy. Apparently it is. It's about this big around, and if something, correct me if I'm wrong, it's either if something moves near it, it lights up, or if something touches it, it lights up.
Touch. It's activated by touch.
It's activated by touch. But yeah, it'll just be sitting there in quite a few of their episodes, actually. It'll just literally just be sitting there. Everything will be completely still and silent, and it'll just suddenly go off. And that indicates the presence of something that you can't see, because they are activated, like you said, they are activated by touch.
Yep. Other ones now that they do also have, that I don't have listed in my notes, which is funny because I took my notes from the internets, and I should have known better because I've done a lot of watching of paranormal stuff. They've got music boxes. They've got music box, REM pod, and another one that D-Tune actually used recently, last Monday. I don't remember what day it was. I have slept since then, sort of. But it actually tells you moods, which I thought was interesting.
Really?
And those are all three of those are motion detectors. The music box is legitimately one that is motion detecting. and then it plays a little jingle whenever something is standing in front or walking in front of it. And then you have the REM pod, which there's various different ones that are either motion activated by being close enough to it or touching the little antenna that's on it. There's different ones, and they're all kind of lumped into that whole little REM pod sphere of their own. And then the one that Datun used, I thought it was really neat because he was actually on a ghost hunt with his brother. And his brother was excuse me, was holding it, and he kept reading off the emotions that it was saying. It would be like confused, sad, angry, and it would like beep and say what it was sensing, and I thought that was really neat. Let's see here. What do we got going on? I think you're a brave boy because I want none of the ghosty ghosts.
Yeah, got some talk about the different paranormal investigators, ghost adventurers, ghost hunters.
I think the Warrens were scam artists. A lot of people think that. I got a lot of that when I was doing some research.
Yeah, they've actually they've gone like, I don't want to say lectures, but they've like gone on shows and stuff where they would debate people who thought that they were scam artists.
Yes.
Done that several times.
Several times. There's one that was quite famous, where they went back and forth, like it was a major heated debate. And they even were taken to court by one of their authors of their books because of something that Ed Warren had said to him in private. And yeah, he basically told him to just make up whatever as long as it sounded scary, and so he felt kind of cheated on the whole thing and tried to take him to court, and I don't remember what the result was of it. I don't know if they won or lost, but I don't think it really mattered anyway. But yeah, lived in a house that was 200 years old. That's awesome. I was chilling with a dude at one point. We were friends, nothing more, and he actually had a house that was over 100 years old at the time. I'm sure it's almost 200 at this point. And I heard some really weird stuff. It was I didn't sleep that night, just saying.
It was just the house settling and the pipes creaking. That's all it was.
I know, I'm sure it was, but
it was the wind stacking the chairs on top of the table, the dining room that night.
Yeah, I don't need to worry about it. You can keep it. I want none of it. Oh, I know. My friend personally knew them. Oh, I think the Warrens started out legitimate, but once they got famous, got a little cray-cray. Yeah. Kind of like Grant from Ghost Hunters. Fake some evidence on TV. Yes, and funny enough, that's a lot of YouTubers even do that, which I found out. That Really Haunted, his stuff is heavily edited, which we kind of figured, but it was still interesting to see some of it. But quite a bit of the, like, when they use the Kinect SLS, the SLS camera, to show the stick figures.
Oh,
and
right,
it shows them like interacting with each other and stuff. That's all edited because they can't actually, the SLS can't actually do that. It can't differentiate bodies. Like if you walk in front of another person, it suddenly doesn't know what's what.
Right.
So
yeah, that makes sense.
Yep. Friend has lived in the same house that was made in 1779. Nice. In Massachusetts, near Salem.
Almost as old as America.
That's interesting. Yep. That is literally the Old English settlement. The OG, I'm going back to that phrase. The OG Americans. All of that section, all of like the Massachusetts, Connecticut, some of Pennsylvania, a lot of those areas have houses that are still from colonial times and whatnot, and that's The Conjuring house is one of them.
Yeah, doesn't
Bam!
surprise me. Did we already address how Zach Baggins is a butthole? I think someone brought him up, yeah.
We
In
didn't
Fallout.
discuss how
We didn't
Zach
discuss it,
Baggins
but
is a
yeah.
butthole.
I don't even know who Zach Baggins is, actually.
Wait, what? Near Salem, and the Warrens said it wasn't haunted in 2014. Oh, 2004. Okay.
I was gonna say, because Ed Warren was no longer around in 2014.
Yeah. And don't bother looking into who he is, not worth a read. I know who Zach Baggins is. I'm not a fan. No thanks.
Like, I know the name, and I know there's like a big controversy or something, but I don't know anything about what that was about.
I'm not a fan of Zach Baggins. I'm just gonna go there. I'm just gonna
And that's
say
all we
it.
really need to know.
Did we watch together when Sam and Colby went through Zach Baggins' haunted museum? He basically is doing the same shit as Ed and Warren did. Ed Warren and Lorraine Warren did with their museum. He literally is amassing his own type of museum.
That may be where I heard the name from, actually, because that sounds familiar.
Yes, because that's when they did the chair in that little room. It was supposed to be the devil's chair or whatever.
Oh, right. Yes. Yes, we did watch that
That's
together.
his museum.
Okay, gotcha.
Yes. He's collecting trophies. Yeah. Anyways. Again, off topic. That's enough of that. I'm just gonna have a nice little sippy sip of my sody wody.
All right, now they've talked about some of the tools, many of the tools that paranormal investigators use. Let's get back to talking about the Warrens themselves just a little bit, some of their more famous cases.
Yes. Let me see here. So, I did kind of hint at the fact that they were involved in the Snedeker. I'm, again, probably butchering that. A Snedeker, I don't know. The Enfield Poltergeist, Smurl Haunting, Amityville, and the trial with Arnie Johnson, as well as the Conjuring house itself. The Warrens are best known for their involvement in the 1976 Amityville horror case, in which New York couple George and Kathy Lutz claimed that their house was haunted by a violent, demonic presence so intense that it drove them out of their home only 28 days after moving in. The Warrens' version of events is partially adapted and portrayed in the opening sequence of The Conjuring 2. Stories of ghosts and haunting, popularized by the Warrens, have been adapted as or have indirectly inspired dozens of films, television series, documentaries, including 17 films in the Amityville horror series and 6 films in the Conjuring universe, including Annabelle, Annabelle Creation, Annabelle Comes Home, spin-off prequel of The Conjuring. And then you got Conjuring 2, and then Conjuring 3, which is The Devil Made Me Do It.
And then there's a Conjuring 4. I don't remember what the subtitle is for that, but I know that it's either in production or in post-production now.
Yeah, it's something like that. It's in the works. We'll just say that.
Yeah, it's in the works.
Yes, he wears weird glasses because of the demon house or the devil house or something like that. Made his eyes go crazy, and yeah, he's got some weird bullshit. Yeah. Anyways, yeah.
So I did not know that the Amityville House series had, did you say 17?
I think it's a mixture between movies and then series. What I found, it was like 17 films along the Amityville horror, plus the series and all that stuff. Because I know there's the original Amityville movie, then there's the recreation of the Amityville movie with Ryan Reynolds in it, which I feel like you and I watched.
Yep, we watched that together.
Yeah,
I think that may
we
have
watched
been
that one together.
That may be the only actual Amityville movie I've ever seen.
Yeah, because I asked you if you wanted to watch, because we were going down our list of horror movies to watch together, and I asked you if you wanted to see the original or the new one with Ryan Reynolds, and it was kind of a unanimous decision to watch Ryan
Yeah,
Reynolds.
I mean, absolutely, Ryan Reynolds in anything. That's my go-to. If there's a choice.
Now, it could be the most garbage movie ever, and if he's in it, I'm down. It's 10 out of 10.
Yeah, Ryan Reynolds is the Nick Cage of actors.
Wait a second.
So Jan and I have like in jokes about Nick Cage. So that's the only reason I said that.
Yes.
Yeah, Ryan Reynolds is a phenomenal actor.
Yes. He just seems like a phenomenal human, and
He really does, actually.
Instead of licking rocks, I want to lick Ryan. Just saying.
Okay, and now we're banned by Twitch.
All
That's the show, everyone.
Bye. Anyways, even with all the books, movies, documentaries, there are many out there who do believe the Warrens are simply putting on a show or creating elaborate hoax to gain popularity, as we have two people right here in chat that are kind of discussing it. According to Benjamin Radford, the story of Amityville was refuted. I'm sorry, this quotes refuted by eyewitnesses, investigations, and forensic evidence. In 1979, lawyer William Weber reportedly stated that he, Jay Anson, and the occupants invented the horror story over many bottles of wine. I would too. Though Lorraine Warren told a reporter for the Express Times newspaper that the Amityville horror was not a hoax. Not only does this beg the question if what they saw was real or fake, but then it also brings up the age-old question on how much of these famous movies are true. Inspired by true events? Based on true events? Most times it is very loosely based, but in the case of the Warrens, how much exactly is fact and how much is fiction? Nick Cage of actors.
Thank you for the clip, Jen.
We stand clips.
So yeah, I mean, we all know that movies that are based on true events or inspired by true events are very, very, like, the stories are very heavily edited, if not changed completely. And I think when we were doing research for this particular episode, so The Conjuring is one of our favorites. I think I've seen the original one like 5 or 6 times at this point.
Yeah.
Or the first one, not the original one, that implies remakes or whatever. But that's an entirely other topic that we may get into on a future episode. But yeah, so I've seen the first Conjuring movie multiple times. We've both seen it multiple times. There are some pretty big differences in in the story that actually inspired that movie, and the story of the movie itself.
Yeah. Yeah, there was quite a bit of differences. But I mean, I will say you're right, because you got the Hollywood dramatization happening where it's like based on true events, and that true event is literally they kept the name, and that's kind of it. Like, what part of that is actually based on the true event? And that's, I think, one thing that we liked about the first Conjuring, because they tried to keep it as true to what was told as they could possibly make it without it making it just too terrifying. But I still thought overall it's a pretty great film, even if you're not like, you don't want to believe that it's actually based on true events, so to speak.
Listen to the Astonishing Legends podcast. They cover The Conjuring really well and cover a lot of the truth. Interesting. I've never heard of that one before. I'll have to make a note of that. In fact, I'm going to write that down now. Is that Astonishing Legends?
Yep. Astonishing Legends podcast. So, I do want to also kind of go backtrack a little bit about Ed and Lorraine Warren and why a lot of people I know who have met them or whatever, and then later were interviewed. They're like, oh, they seem really nice, really sincere, etc., etc. Thank you, Jen. Um, I think it's interesting that they both seem to have come kind of from like humble beginnings or humble backgrounds, so to speak, and then became these, let's face it, millionaires doing what they do. And a part of me feels like, yeah, maybe their later years were definitely a scam, because who's to say that these two people for 50 years were straight up doing over 1,000 cases? But then again, who's to say that out of 1,000 cases, 30 of them were legitimate hauntings, whereas others were, oh, you have a creaky pipe. Thanks for
Right.
calling us, but it's nothing.
Right. So, to that point, I just want to point out to people in chat who might not know, paranormal investigation a lot of times does not mean like every single case that an investigator takes is going to be a confirmed case of an actual haunting. That's why they're called investigators. They're called in to investigate things that are believed to be paranormal, and more often than not, they're not. More often than not, there's a rational, logical explanation.
Yep.
And that is literally their job. They figure out if it's a legitimate haunting or if it's just something else.
Right.
So, like you said, out of the 1,000 cases, it very could have well be only like 20, 30, 40 cases that were actual hauntings.
Right. Which we know that, according to the museum itself, there's definitely way more items in there than 20, 30, 40. But
right.
Yes, I mean, that's kind of what my thought process is when they're like, oh, we've done over 1,000 cases. They don't say we've done over 1,000 ghosts.
Right.
That also sounds dirty, but yes. Disproving hauntings was your favorite. Yeah, I mean, I kind of feel like when me and Mika are watching stuff, we try to debunk it as best as we can. Like, oh, there's no way oh, that seemed legit. Like we kind of bring logic and analyze and whatnot to certain things, and it's almost like a fun hobby, so to speak, at this point, because there was one day we just did nothing but legit watch so many videos of hauntings.
I think we watched like 5 hours of videos of paranormal investigations in one. It was a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, and a lot of people do think, oh, an old house means it's haunted.
Yeah,
And that's not always the
that's
case.
not true at all. No.
Or just because you got your house built on potential burial grounds, suddenly your brand new sparkling 3,000 square foot house is suddenly just haunted. No, that's not how that works. But A for effort. Hi, D in the background. Yeah. He's shutting Lily out because she's now in the kitchen just yelling.
Yeah,
because
we can
she's
hear
ready
her.
for dinner. Yeah, she's ready for dinner.
Let's see. Duskme and Alice in chat saying, if I may, I have a real question for you two. Following a similar train of thought as paranormal stuff, what are your thoughts on mediums that people can talk to spirits to help guide you and such? I 100% believe they exist. I have talked to people who have claimed to be mediums, and I'm not gonna spend too much time talking about like the actual experience I had with them here, because it mostly was secondhand accounts. But I've met people that I believe really are mediums, and you and I have both seen people on YouTube channels. What was her name? Amanda, who is who actually like has her own following, who is believed to be a fairly powerful medium.
Yep.
And from what I've seen, on from her shows and the shows that she's guest starred in, I believe she is a real medium, based on the way she reacts to certain things.
Oh yeah, and the fact that when they were like, I want to say that it could be editing, but it doesn't seem that way to me. With them doing like Estes methods, and because she's guest starred with Overnight too, and the same thing has happened where they'll be doing the Estes method and she'll be in another room and she will write down, like, answer the whatever question is being asked. She'll like apparently hear or see something and she'll write it down, and then the person doing the Estes method legit just blabs out something either similar or the exact same as she has written down.
And I just want to describe what the Estes method is, because I don't think we've done that yet this episode.
Oh, we have not. Yes.
So the Estes method is where someone puts on a pair of noise-canceling headphones so that they cannot hear anything that is not coming from what the headphones are connected to. Usually some kind, I think it's like some kind of spirit box. Or is it not a spirit box?
No, I'm shaking my head at Jen. No, okay. It is not not the Long Island medium. No.
Yeah, but yeah, the Estes method is noise-canceling headphones attached to something like a spirit box. So,
yes to you, yes, spirit box, yes.
Okay. Which, like we mentioned earlier, will cycle through different frequencies and try to pick up anything that any kind of spirit is saying, and it will relay it to the person who is wearing headphones. The person wearing the headphones is also generally blindfolded, so it's like sensory deprivation. So they're very focused on what they're hearing. And only they can hear it.
Either call it the Estes method or they'll call it sensory deprivation. Right. One or the other. But it is, the technical term for it is the Estes method, because it was a group of people who had discovered and made this method become possible. But it legitimately is Estes method.
Right.
Bye, Chris.
Bye, Chris. But yeah, so for the Estes method, the person wearing the headphones will generally be isolated from everyone else, and then someone else in another room will be asking questions to try to minimize the chance that the person with the headphones on can actually hear. And then the person with the headphones will basically shout out anything that they hear, hoping that whatever they hear will match up with the questions that are being asked.
Yep.
And then, like you said, since we were specifically talking about Amanda, there have been times when she's been like, in another room in the house, like across the house, so there's no possible way that she could be hearing the questions or the answers from the person doing the Estes method, and she will be writing down the same words as she feels a spirit responding to the questions.
Yep.
Which could be a trick of editing, but
right. That's, I was like, it could be a trick of editing, but I'd like to think that not all of it is.
Especially when they do the side-by-side, the cameras.
Yeah, they do the side-by-side cameras, and like I said, it's happened on several different content creators' videos. Yep. So for all of them to have the same thought of, ooh, hey, let's pretend we're doing, it would seem kind of like an awfully long stretch to me.
Hated the spirit box and thought it was awful until you tried the Estes method. That's interesting.
Interesting.
Mike, would you care to elaborate a little bit more on that, please?
I was about to say, can you, I've always wanted to know how, because obviously I don't own a spirit box, and I don't own anything similar to a spirit box. Every time we've watched something, like, they're like, oh, I heard my name. Oh, I heard this. And me and Mika will be sitting there going, this sounded like gobbledygook to me. Like, that's a whole bunch of word salad, and that sounded like a song. And yet, I've seen people have the same, it almost is like a different facial and body reaction to when they do just walking around with a spirit box versus the Estes method. Like, how does it feel for the difference? And with the traditional spirit box, there's a lot of different inputs from people and other environmental distractions.
Which makes sense. That's why the Estes method has the sensory deprivation element to it. At least that's
Right.
what I would assume.
Like, exactly.
Yeah, there it is. With Estes, you're numb from everything else and can focus in. Exactly. Yeah, that's the power of sensory deprivation. When your other senses are like blocked, then the one or two that you're using, they get a little bit stronger.
So it legit sounds like they're yelling the words on Spirit Box. See, that's where I was wanting to know if it was different, because whenever, like I said, when we're watching it, people will be like, "Oh yeah, no, I heard it," and I'm like, we've replayed that section a few times, and we'll be like, "I still don't hear anything. All I hear is stuff and static." But like, I know they're not your favorite Mika, but Jason and Patrick from
Right.
the haunted side.
Right.
When we're not.
So
Sorry, Pat.
yeah,
Not
those were
big
the ones
friends
that.
of Patrick.
Yeah, those were the ones that
Doing
I
the
said
Estes.
were just like really, really boring to watch, right?
Yeah, you found them really, really boring, except for we both enjoy watching Jason do the interacting, because
Yes.
Jason's the more animated one.
And
He's the more animated one when it comes to the ghost experiences.
right. And real quick,
Jason's the loud one.
Yeah, and nothing against them personally.
Patrick.
And nothing against them personally or their channel or anything. Like, I do think their content is great. It's just personally, I find it a little bit boring to watch because it's more real. It's more very long periods of just nothing happening that's not edited or cut down to the more exciting things. That's the only thing.
So
that's the only reason I call them a little bit boring.
Right, and it's funny because to me, I enjoy that because it makes it, for me, it makes it feel more real. Like, I get sucked in with the immersion, and then the parts that annoy me about it is, like I said, no offense if Pat ever discovers us and decides to start watching or want to say anything, sorry Pat, love you dude, but bruh, calm down. Did you see that? Did you see that? And that's, to me, it was like, you kind of just reel it in, bro. Reel it back. And right. Jason he's more tame. And it's, me and Mika would laugh because there was quite a few times, like, back to back, where Patrick was like, did you hear that? Full body chills. Did you hear that? And then Jason just goes, no.
It reminds me.
Me and Mika are like, no.
It reminds me a lot of Adam Savage and Jamie Hyneman from Mythbusters because they have that exact same dynamic too. Adam would get like super excited about everything, and Jamie was just sitting there with his walrus mustache, and he's just like, yes, no,
yeah,
no. He
You're
tested that. Wrong. No, yeah, exactly.
yes, and that's exactly how Patrick and Jason are, and it just, I think that's what kept me like so sucked in. Like, there will be the lulls, but that's when I'm like trying to see if anything else is happening. But you remember that one where Jason got locked in the bathroom?
Oh yeah, I remember that.
And he actually legit screamed and ran out of there. Oh, dude.
Yep. I remember that.
That was intense, and you could tell that was not fake and not edited because the look, like, he had sheer terror on his face, and his whole face, like, his complexion dropped, went white, and I was like, no, he's legit scared. Like, he probably could piss his pants. Who's James and Vincent?
I am going to actually that because that username is actually a slur, or kind of, against transgender people.
Gotcha.
It took me a second to see it.
I see it now.
Moving on from that, Alice is asking, down for ghost hunting, but worry about the horror stories of the spirits latching onto the person exploring the haunted place. Yeah, that is something that is a genuine concern because we keep referencing Sam and Colby because it's a paranormal investigation channel on YouTube that Jan and I enjoy watching. For a while now, I think Sam has been saying like he has something attached to him, and the psychics and the mediums he's talked to have pretty much confirmed that. And there's been like 4 people that have said, "Yeah, you have something attached to you." That right? And like 4 like independent people too. Jen,
Yeah.
don't worry about it.
Yeah, don't worry about it, Jen. No, as far as doing ghost hunting, oh god, me and Mika have extensively talked about doing ghost hunting together. Like, we were like, fuck yeah, let's do it. Oh man, if we ever, oh man, we should, oh, you should come to St. Louis so we can do this. Oh, you should come up here so we can do this. And then I'm like, oh man, then we're gonna go up over to Nashville and we're gonna hit up this place. It's over in Nashville and we're just gonna do, and we'll drag Jen along and then she'll run out screaming. It'll be so great. And we've also kind of talked about, like the whole possibility of getting an attachment. And I know that as long as you basically set boundaries and let them know, don't follow me, don't come with me, don't do this, don't do that. And you have to make sure you stay firm in it. Then I think it would be a lot less terrifying. There is still that possibility, but I think the risk might be worth it.
No, I mean,
cool shit.
I mean, I've talked about this on the show actually before. I already have an attachment. I have a dream demon.
Right. Well,
so, I mean, not the same thing. Not the same thing because this one can only really affect my dreams. Mostly. But that's another topic of conversation. But yeah, I already have something attached to me. Like, I'm not really that worried about that. But yeah, going back to what you said about minimizing the risk of attachments, I know, again, Amanda, the medium that we're talking about with Sam and Colby and Overnight and the other channels, whenever she gets done helping someone investigate a place, she has a set ritual. She will very firmly tell whatever spirits are in a place that they are not allowed to follow her. They are not allowed to leave the place that they have been bound to. And she reaffirms that her belief in a higher power, in this case God, because she's a Christian, is more powerful than the spirits that inhabit that place. And then after that, she will take everyone who's doing the investigating, and then she will do a prayer of protection. And that's her ritual to minimize the risk of attachments.
Yep. And yes, Mike, me and Jen, we were both born in Indianapolis, Indiana, so yeah. So
yeah, lucky you.
I go visit every once in a while, and hey, what up? Hit me up, fam. Let's go ghost hunting. Bam, bam, bam.
Why do I even bother with you?
I don't know. Because I'm entertaining and I go lick rocks.
Yep, that sounds about right.
Yep. Jen's down. Meet up. Let's go. Mika, come on. Let's go. We're gonna meet up in Indianapolis, Indiana, and we all gonna go ghost hunt together. Let's do it. Lick rocks.
Haunted rocks.
Haunted rocks.
Yeah, Alice, that was actually a very good question. Thank you for the question.
Oh, fuck yeah. Excellent question. Alice is just like, and here's good question 1, and good question 2, and I'm waiting for good question 3. Let's go.
So what were we talking about before that question? Because my train of thought is not like straight on rails. My train of thought is like constantly derailing all over the place and jumping tracks, and then turning sideways and around, and then going down into the ground, and whatever. Point is, I get distracted very easily.
Yeah. Yep. I don't know how many times we'll be like, oh yeah, by the way, and then what were we talking about before?
There's good question 3. When do we all go ghost hunting then?
Good question 3.
As soon as I get a job and can afford traveling again.
Yes,
Yeah.
that is an excellent question. The answer to that is right after these messages. No.
I do not do commercial ad breaks on my stream. You guys know that. But yeah,
Oh,
I
good.
would
Thanks,
love to
Jeff.
meet up. I would love to meet up with people and go something.
Oh yeah, that I think it would be a lot of fun. Live stream when? Hello? Let's go.
See, Mike saying if a podcast, they need to script the entire thing for that exact reason. Otherwise, they'd start talking about Bigfoot and end up on if ants know each other by name. So, fun fact I just want to mention about ants real quick. It has absolutely nothing to do with this topic whatsoever. I just think it's a really fun fact, and as you can see, I get distracted easily. Ants actually
Seriously,
measure. Ants actually measure their
do they know
traveling
each other?
stilts, or by
No,
steps.
do they by stilts?
Sorry, they measure the distance they travel by
Mika.
steps because the way this was found out, there were scientists that actually put little stilts on hundreds of ants, and then the ants would always overshoot their destination and have to turn around.
So would they be called scientants?
Shut up. Band Vineyardtrio.
They are their own Fitbits?
Apparently.
So what you're saying is I need to go put my Fitbit on an ant.
Yes.
10,000 steps, easy peasy. Take that.
Yes.
Healthy people.
Okay, back on topic. For a real question 3, though, is it just movie trope that ghost hunting is at night or in the dark, or is there really a science reason for it? From what I understand, there is an actual reason for that because 3 o'clock is called the witching hour for a reason. That is supposedly the time of night that the most haunting activity takes place.
And I feel like I remember also that it's something to do with with of course the witching hour, and also just generally it's closer to that time, nighttime that is. It's easier for them to cross realms as it gets closer to the witching hour, so to speak. That and something to do with nature itself kind of almost calming itself down and allowing that barrier to kind of be broken in a way or something like that.
And what Fallout is saying, less interference from sun and like radio signals in the atmosphere.
Yeah, because literally, if you think about it, nighttime as humans, our bodies are almost programmed, and that's why I say almost, because we make her the exception. But we're almost all programmed that dark mean go sleepy, and light mean awake, and it's kind of the same thing with a majority of nature, that when it gets nighttime, everything just kind of quiets and calms, and as it gets closer and closer to that witching hour of about 3 in the morning, when the moon's typically at its highest peak, that's when the barrier between worlds and realms, or whatever you want to call it, kind of gets a little shaky. And
that's exactly what Fallout is saying in chat. The barrier between the worlds is weakest at 3 a.m.
Yep. It's with the sun, the moon, and the stars, and that over there.
So yeah, Alice, there is an actual reason why paranormal investigation is generally done at night.
Science. Sort of. Okay.
What really is science?
For babies when they cry? What?
I guess how babies generally cry in the middle of the night. I don't know.
Well, they also used to say the same thing about how babies are only born at night. And I mean, that's not always the case, but a good majority of them are born at nighttime. And it's legitimately that reason. The body is in its natural, everything is calming down. The body goes into its natural calm state. So the baby's kind of like, what up? It's easy to slide out now. And then, of course, mommy gets woke up and then things happen. Like me. Yes. So, a lot of things will happen at nighttime. A lot of good, bad, and fun things happen in the dark. The things we do in the dark.
Things that go bump in the night. Not always ghosts.
The night is dark and full of terrors. And me. And Mika, too.
Yes.
Because we no sleep.
What even is sleep?
I don't know.
Alright. What is next on our list? We've gone way so far off script.
Yes. I was kind of describing the history with Ed and Lorraine Warren and how they kind of went from humble beginnings. I did already state that they were like, these are more kind of like fun facts, we'll say.
Yeah, this is not like a full lecture on the Warrens. We're trying to stay away
obviously.
from that.
Yeah, we're trying to leave any kind of biases at the door. This is literally like facts that we have found and our opinion. That plain and simple, like our opinion on what we have discovered, not our opinion on whether we highly like, highly dislike, think they're scam, think they're no scam. Like we thought they're, in general, I'll say it this way, we think the whole situation is interesting, and we wanted to kind of give an overview and a highlight and fact on what we could, and go.
Yep. So again, like everything that we say on the show is our opinions. Even things that we present as facts, it is just the research that we've done. And what we talk about is
fact, it's researched fact.
Yes. This is just everything we've done with cursory research. Like, we are not paranormal investigators. I mean, this is a bi-weekly podcast. We don't go super in-depth on a lot of different topics.
We could, but then it'd be boring.
Yeah,
and I can't say that I lick rocks on it.
Exactly. So take everything that we're saying with a grain of salt. Again, this is our opinions.
Salt Bay. Take it with a grain of Salt Bay. I really want to try that one day. Anyway, so these are some of the fun facts that I was able to come up with and discover through various means. Ed Warren grew up in a haunted house, and this is claimed by Ed Warren. And him and Lorraine investigated that house first, which kickstarted their career. Because if I'm not mistaken, they started dating. They went to the movies together, started dating, and he basically was like, so I grew up in a haunted house, and she's like, oh, Riri, I just happened to be a clairvoyant. And he was like, oh, Riri. And then they decided to go to his haunted house, and they've discovered that they both really enjoyed investigating together. And Ed and Lorraine used to go to these, they would like scope out the haunted houses, and Ed would then paint the house, and then him and Lorraine would go and deliver the paintings to the homeowner of said haunted house, and that would get their foot in the door. And then they would politely ask, hey, do you mind? And typically the homeowner would be like, yeah, that's cool. I mean, this is the 50s. Anybody could come on in. My door stays unlocked. It's perma unlocked. What is a lock? This is the 50s. And so, yeah, Oceanborn Mary House was their actual first official case. In that house is where Lorraine had her first out-of-body experience. Lorraine also helped police solve murders with her clairvoyant gift, which I thought was quite interesting. They also never charged to investigate any of these houses. Their source of income came from documentaries selling their books, and later from the franchises and from museum fees.
And
Let's see.
that's one thing that makes me think that, at least in the very beginning, I know a lot of people think that they were scam artists, and a couple people here in chat have been saying so as well. They said so earlier. But I think because they didn't charge anything for a long time, they weren't making money on this for a long time.
Oh yeah, it
That
was
meant,
legit like
yeah,
a hobby to them.
that's one of the things that makes me think that they were legitimate.
And the fact that even though he was a self-proclaimed demonologist, he's the only demonologist recognized by the Catholic Church who is not
Non-Catholic demonologist, yes, who was not
who is
not a
non-Catholic
recognized member
himself.
of the church.
Yep. Which I thought was also quite interesting. Like that kind of tells me that they clearly knew what the fuck they were doing, at least in the beginning, to have such strong ties and connections with the Catholic Church itself. And for them to, I mean, let's be honest, especially in the 50s, if you got recognized by the Catholics and they regarded you highly as a non-Catholic person,
That was a big
bro,
deal.
you important. Yeah. Lorraine was raised Catholic. Ed was not. He was not Catholic. He later converted to Catholicism because of his wife and being recognized by the church. But when they first got together and started their whole business adventure, so to speak, he was not Catholic.
People tend to mock or fear things
He
they do
was, I
not
think,
understand.
Christian.
Spiritual mediums and ghost hunters, etc., will never get a good rap. Regular people
Never.
cannot do anything to disprove them, and that's just a yeah. And that's what was so controversial about the Warrens, because like, how do you really prove or disprove something like that without
Right.
being there and seeing it firsthand? That's why they were called scam artists for most of their life.
And that's why a part of me, I kind of feel like as they got older, it became taxing, especially to keep up with. I mean, you think about your grandparents or so and so's grandparents, and like they struggle with technology advancing because a lot of it is mind-boggling, especially to those that were in like grew up with the 50s being the big thing, and
So
it was
I'm
probably interesting at first, but now it could be just overwhelming. And I think they kind of just let it slowly tried to brush it under the rug that they weren't able to keep up. And I think that's maybe where the scam had ended up being created, potentially. I don't know.
I will say this. I just recently turned 35, a little less than a month ago. When I grew up in the 90s. We didn't have like super advanced technology like smartphones.
No.
20 years ago, the idea of this, what I'm holding in my hand right now, the idea of
That was
this
stuff made
was
in
science
movies.
fiction. This was science fiction. And I'm only 35. I grew up with technology like this. I grew up with the latest technology of the time. I can completely understand how people like the Warrens just later in life just would not be able to keep up, especially with how
Right.
fast technology advances now.
I mean, I'm going to give a good example. Again, kind of going off topic. Not really, but Nana, my husband's grandmother. Nana. We love Nana. She's 89. She has a tablet. I think hers is an iPad. She uses an iPad to play games on or whatever. Most of the time, she's got like little casino slot games and stuff like that. Because with COVID, she can't go to the boat and play casino. So she got to get her casino on somehow. So we gave her the iPad, and she's got some casino slot games and other little nonsensical games. And She, at 89, still has a hard time understanding how the internet works. There will be times where her game will crash, and she thinks it's the Wi-Fi particles in the air. Something is blocking them from getting to her iPad, and she's not sure how the particles of Wi-Fi in the air aren't making it to her iPad correctly. And we have to tell her that's not how that works. But she doesn't understand. So,
Right.
I remember dial-up. Yes, same.
Yeah, same. We had dial-up for a while. I remember those dubstep noises.
Was that they based almost all their results on feelings and didn't really provide any proof of stuff. They also had a lot of evidence that disappeared, and there was always a reason it wasn't there, but I definitely think a person should look into them and make their own mind up. Same. No harm in believing or not. Same. Now, I have seen some of their footage that they've actually withheld. Like, that's why I said maybe I'm not going to sit here and say that every one of their cases was 100% true. It could have been such a good story that you almost couldn't not say it was real, like it would be making you bank. But then again, there's others that, like, I watched, it was an old VHS clip where they were talking to a family at the table, and they went to get up and all the chairs went from the table, and then the table slid, and I'm like, and you can't do that with editing or whatever on a VHS tape done and recorded in, I think I saw the date on it was like on 1982 or something like that, and I was like, yeah, that seems way too legitimate, because it was grainy and none of it looked edited, like special effects. Like, I don't think they were capable of doing anything like that. And it literally showed the whole, like, you could see everything. You watched them all stand up, walk away, and they were like, okay, let's cut the video off. And then one chair started to move, and he's like, uh-oh. And I was like, damn, all right. And that's when everything just kind of flew against the wall. But it was one of the few I could find.
Like Mike is saying, were they actual paranormal? Well, they were actual paranormal investigators, but like, did they discover real hauntings, or were they scam artists? Like Mike is saying, like, do your own research. Personally, I don't think they were scam artists, at least in the beginning.
Definitely not in the beginning.
I have reasons for my opinions on that. But yeah, always do your own research. Do not take anything that anyone says as 100% fact.
Yep. And we'll say that about anything. Don't ever. P.S. If it's on the internet, does not mean it's fact. I have to tell my 9-year-old this.
That was just the best Abraham
Lincoln on YouTube. Said by George Washington ever. God damn it, you made me lose my train of thought. I hate you so much. I tell my 9-year-old that every time. He's like, Mommy, so did you know? And I'm like, where did you hear this information from? I didn't hear it. I know it. From where? From YouTube. Okay, not everything you see on YouTube, dude, is fucking real. Stop it. Why can a spirit move objects but not people? The Conjuring had that scene where the wife was dragged into the basement. Why does that kind of thing not happen all the time? It takes a lot of physical and spiritual energy to make physical objects move. A good representation of that, I will say, and I give him credit to, Ghost. The movie Ghost, where he's trying to move an object, and they're like, you gotta focus a lot of your energy to move an object, and he gets super pumped that he can flip a coin. It's kind of that same concept. It takes a lot of energy on all parties involved, and at least that's my theory.
Also, a demon versus spirit thing. People believe that demons have a lot more power than a spirit. That's a good point as well. Some spirits are more powerful than others. or at least it's
Yep.
believed that some spirits are more powerful. I think the
Conjuring was a demon,
demon.
right? No. Not the first Conjuring. The first Conjuring movie was based on Bathsheba, who was a witch. It was the second Conjuring was based on Valak, the demon.
Yep. Yeah,
Yep.
I actually really
Yeah,
like
no.
Valak demon as like character, idea, thought, concept. You know what I'm trying to say that I don't have words for.
Oh yeah. Oh
But
yeah.
in the Conjuring franchise, at least in a couple of movies, Valak is a powerful spirit or a powerful demon that takes the form of the nun. You know, the nun with like the really dark eyes and like, sharp teeth and stuff like that.
You
And
know what we
she's
talk about.
yeah, and she is the one that has power over the other spirits in the franchise. And spoilers for the Conjuring universe, by the way. Minor spoilers.
If you don't want to hear him, cover your ears.
Yeah, it
Go
turns
la la
out
la 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 la.
it turns out that Valak is the one having power over a lot of the spirits, and that she is making them do the evil things that they normally would not do themselves. In fact, in the very first movie, I mean, talking about Bathsheba, not Valak, in the very first movie, there's, I think, what, 3 or 4 spirits that all tell the Warrens and parties involved, like, she made me do this. I don't want to do this. She's making me hurt you.
Yep. Because in the movie they claim that Bathsheba had made a deal with the devil and then ended up hanging herself, which didn't happen.
That actually
Which I
is a
do
good
have
segue
some.
into
Yeah,
the next
I
part of
was
our
saying.
script, which is comparing the actual Conjuring case from the first Conjuring movie to the movie itself and the differences.
Yep. So, if you weren't in the Discord when we watched as a nice little family with popcorn and laughter at Jen, who jumped a lot, it was great, good times. But in the Discord we did actually do a movie night where we all watched the first Conjuring movie, and I kind of had a little bit to drink, and I started spewing out some fun facts as we were watching it, and I don't know what else I did, and I apologize for nothing because I'm fucking hilarious when I'm drunk, so suck
Can
it.
confirm. Can confirm.
Yeah. If you weren't there for that, good news, everyone. I have fun facts again. I was told to bring them.
Yes.
Me
Now
too.
present them.
Okay, in 1980 is when the parents moved from the house once they were financially stable. They moved into the house. Or no, sorry, in 1980 was when the parents moved out of the Conjuring house, when they were finally financially stable. They moved in at the beginning of 1971. I think is what I'd read, but I didn't write it down because I'm a terrible sidekick. Co-host, not sidekick. Same difference. The music box that is in the movie with the little mirror, and they say that if you play the music box, you're supposed to be able to see the ghost of Rory. Well, the music box was a real item taken from the Conjuring house by the Warrens.
I believe it's in the
And
museum now, isn't it?
it is, in fact, in the museum. But it wasn't for a little boy named Rory. It was for a little boy, but his name was a little bit different. I don't remember 100% what it was. I think it might have been Cody or Corey or something like that. In the movie, it says that Bathsheba had one kid.
I think so.
Yes, because it said that Bathsheba had one child which she sacrificed to the devil. No. fact, Bathsheba had 4 children. She had 4 children, and her name is Bathsheba Sherman. Bathsheba Sherman had 4 children. Only one of them survived past childhood and later became a farmer. The parent children did befriend a child spirit who was tied to said music box, and the exorcism of Lady Perrin, Catherine. What was her name?
I
The
don't
mom.
remember.
Kathy? No, I don't remember. Anyways, my brain it escapes me. There's so many people in that movie with names. Ugh, I don't even know my own name. Anyways, so the mother exorcism of the mom, Perrin, never happened. It did not happen. In the movie, it shows that they're in the basement. They do an Ed Warren performs a exorcism on her.
Carolyn.
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 I was close-ish, not really. That doesn't happen. They do not perform an exorcism on her. However, a seance was performed in their house. Oh, thank you, Snowy. I remember that. I won't, but I will. But I won't. A seance was performed in their living room, dining room, living room, something like that. They had like 12 rooms in their house. It was ridiculous. Anyways, but a seance was performed, and the eldest of the Perrin girls secretly observed it happen. She literally was peeping around a corner, watching when she wasn't supposed to be. And she saw everything happen. She claims that her mother, after speaking in tongues and not in her own voice, levitated in her chair, which happens in the movie, and then was violently thrown across the room. The husband, Mr. Perrin, which I've already forgotten his name as well, was so distraught.
I need to look this up too.
Yes.
Okay, fine.
Anyways.
Roger.
Roger, that's right. So Roger was so distraught by the events that he actually was shook up, went over, helped his wife up, asked her if she was okay, turned to Ed, and popped him in the face. Gave him the old knuckle sandwich as a thank you, and banished them from their house and never spoke to them again. Never asked them to come back. None of it. They were like, I don't want none of this business. You hooky dookies, you coming in here making my wife get shit and sheep floaty and go get tossy toss and take one. Essentially. So yeah, Ed Warren got hit in the face. They were banished, told never to return to the Conjuring house, which was actually not the Sherman estate, Arnold estate. Which later earned the name of the Conjuring house. But yes, so they banished him from the house, told him never return, never spoke to them again. The eldest, I believe, spoke to Lorraine later in life. Not positive. I know she's written 3 or 4 books about the events that happened in the house in the years that they had stayed and lived there. They had a dog. So the part in the beginning where the puppy dog gets hurt, I'll just say that hurt. Oh, something in my eye. Hurt. That did happen, but not for a few weeks after they had moved in.
It was not overnight the first night, like it isn't.
Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't overnight the first night, and they actually had 3 dogs and 1 cat when they moved in. Yeah, hurt, wink. I mean, eyelash.
Okay, move on from the dog.
Anyways. Sorry, I don't know what's going on. Hurt. But yeah, she wrote 3 or 4 books. She claims that the parents started having their bedroom in one of the rooms, and then the events of the beds would move, and in the morning, they would have to push their beds back from their beds being moved. That the events would start amping up more in her parents' bedroom to the point where they had to move rooms. And so they ended up taking over the old the old off kitchen or something is what they called it, or something. I don't remember what the official term was, but they ended up moving from like the second floor to the first floor in the back of the house. Chance winking at me. How sweet. You're welcome. Just like Maui said, you're welcome. Sorry, now my winking feels really weird. I need to stop. It just feels awkward now.
Let's continue with the fun facts about the Warrens.
Winking. So that's all the facts that I could muster up together on the Conjuring movie versus the Conjuring fact. If you want to know more, go get the books. She has legit 3 or 4 books. Andrea, I think is her name. Andrea Perrin. Andrea.
I will find out.
Andrea, something like that. And it's the
Andrea Perrin conjures the facts of her family's haunted encounters. Yes.
And I want to say it's in 3 or 4 books. 3, 4. The House of Light and Dark. Or something like that.
1, volume 2, volume 3. I'm looking at her on Amazon. I don't see a 4th edition or 4th volume.
That's what I said. It might have been just 3. I couldn't remember if it was 3 or 4.
Yes, but her name is Andrea Perrin, which I will put here in chat right now.
Welcome back.
If you are all interested.
Night, baby. I love you.
So sweet.
So sweet. Does it say what the name of the books are? Is it The House of Light and Dark?
House of Light.
The House of Light. Okay.
Cute.
And I will double check that.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. House of Darkness, House of Light. The true story.
House of Darkness, House of Light. That's right. I knew it was something about the house and light and dark. I was close. Just like with all the names. I got it.
We're close.
Whatever.
We're close.
I have slept since I've done all my research. Anyways, so like I said, yes, they didn't charge to do their investigations. Ed Warren passed away in 2006. If I'm not mistaken, he passed away in April of 2006. And Lorraine passed away in 2019. I think she passed away in September of 2019. Ed and Lorraine Warren had one single child, a daughter named Judy, who later went on to marry Tony Spira, who now runs the Occult Museum and also has had his own television program where he would interview Ed and Lorraine on their journeys and investigation.
Yeah, unfortunately, he is now the former curator of the museum, as the Warren Museum is at the moment indefinitely closed and only open to very, very specific people and very specific events.
Yes.
Which is a shame, because that is one of the very few things in the world that I would love to see before I die. It's the Warren Museum.
No kidding. And I know we kind of said a little something about it in one of the last shows that we did about how in October they're doing that thing at the thing in the I keep wanting to call it a civic center. anyways, but they're doing that little show where they will have a mini museum where they'll have the Annabelle doll up there or
Right.
out there. It is up there for me, so
That
we can always sneak in like it's Scooby-Doo. You say JK, I say okay. JK? God, I mean my eye actually legit hurt. No more winking for me.
Stop power winking. Yeah, I'm trying to find that
my
event.
husband's gonna come in here and want to be like, "Hey, you want to take care of business later?" And be like, "Business." You say, and he's gonna be like, "I don't want none of that business. Nope, bye."
Yeah, I'm trying to find information about that, but I'm having a hard time.
Yeah, I don't remember what the site or anything was called. I've done the big forgets. But yeah, they're supposed to be doing something up in Connecticut, I wanna say.
Was it the Warren Seekers of the Supernatural? Yeah, this is it, because we were talking about the VIP party.
Yep.
Yeah, that is October 28th.
That's the VIP party. The actual event is the 29th.
It is the 29th, yes. The Warrens Seekers of the Supernatural Paracon.
Paracon. I wonder if
That's
that
cool
stands
name.
for Parody Convention.
I think it probably stands for Paranormal.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, me and Jan were talking about that a couple months ago. We would love to go to that, but unfortunately, at the moment, neither of us can afford to travel to it.
Because gas is expensive and shit.
It is.
Because I live over here in the Missouri.
Yeah, go ahead and dox yourself.
Nika's closer, but then I mean, I'm not gonna dox myself. I said I live in misery. Bitch. I'm in a constant state. Literally. I live here.
Yeah, fair enough. But yeah, unfortunately, the museum is closed. There are paranormal investigators, like I believe it was Sam and Colby, that asked about it, and they were given an invitation. So they were allowed to go in and do some paranormal investigation in the museum itself.
Nope, that was overnight.
That was overnight? Okay.
Overnight, yep. Sam and Colby want to, but they haven't. Oh, the overnight crew has asked and asked and asked and asked and asked, and Tony Spira finally reached out and was like, "Yep."
Wasn't it because
they're also going to be having their own little table set up, whatever it's called, at the convention?
Paracon,
yeah.
Yeah. So, God, what was I going to say? I lost my own train of thought now.
I'm sorry. I derailed it. My bad.
But yeah, I remember it was a couple years ago, I think. Now that, or a couple months or a couple years, something like that. But there was going around that says, like, after Lorraine Warren's death, that the Annabelle doll actually like got out and escaped, which was not true. That was not true.
It wasn't not true.
But the story was making the rounds for a while. Yeah.
Yeah. They tried to say that she had gotten out of her box and disappeared, and people went so far as to like take Snapchat picture clippy doodads of another Raggedy Ann doll and tried to say it was Annabelle. And eventually Tony Spira and his team had to be like, no. She been here this whole time. She go nowhere.
Yep. Although I believe they are taking her to Paracon.
They are.
She will be on display.
She will be there. I think they are taking her. Maybe the Shadow Doll is what I remember them saying something about. I know for a fact it's the Annabelle doll and a few of the other really big things.
The famous ones that everyone wants to see.
Right.
which is another reason why I really wish I could go, because I would love to see the Annabelle doll and Shadow doll in person.
Same. Which, by the way, the Shadow doll is made up of human hair and teeth and animal bones, and it's supposed to haunt your dreams. That's why it's called the Shadow doll. Anyway,
I've already got one of those.
why
Alice
does
in
no
chat
one do
asks,
an exorcism of the doll? Why keep the risk for display and not just end it?
so in the first Conjuring movie, that actually is addressed. Ed Warren, or again, this is in the movie. I don't know if this actually happened. Excuse me. Ed Warren tells the person who asked that it's better to keep it, the spirit or the demon or whatever it is, attached to the doll, because if they exorcise it, then it basically just like releases it back into the world to cause misery for someone else. While it's contained within the doll, they can like take protections and like keep it contained.
He compared it to, and yes, that's an actual quote from the real Ed Warren, because Tony Spira says it several times. He repeats it, and he also had it. It was also said and asked by Tony Spira, the same question asked by Tony Spira on his show to Ed, who gave that response as well. That the other reason why you don't destroy, why you don't exorcise or destroy the doll or whatever the spirit is tied to, is that's just the vessel. Think of it like a genie in a bottle. You want to keep the genie in the bottle. You destroy the bottle, the genie escapes and needs to find a new bottle to inhabit, so to speak.
Alice saying, I thought the point of the exorcism was to send the spirit to the afterlife where it's done for good. I thought hauntings and paranormal stuff was simply the spirit that cannot yet move on. A lot of people think that about exorcisms, but that is not the case. An exorcism is simply meant to remove the spirit or demon from the person it is inhabiting and to protect that person. It is not meant to like destroy the demon or spirit or send it back to hell or the afterlife or wherever else. It is just simply the intent to remove it from the person that it is harming. Try the best to save the person.
And it's in their best attempt to try to get it to return from where it came from.
But not always successful, as in the case with Arnie.
Arnie, yep. I'm trying to think if in the little mini, I don't think they really talked or discussed too very much about like his present life, and that he has had several exorcisms done on him, and he was sentenced to 25 years in prison, 27 years in prison, served only 5. But long story short, he said that he had to stay in prison. His case did not get, the trial, it went through the whole court system. He did claim that it was, being possessed is what made him do it. The Warrens tried to back him up, but because there was a lack of evidence, they couldn't keep it in court, so to speak, because there was no tangible evidence to kind of really tie it to it. So he still had to serve prison time. Instead of getting life or life with no parole, they sentenced him to 27 years, and he ended up, like I said, getting out after 5. And I think in the interview, he had multiple exorcisms, and he said he still feels a little off and on from time and again or something like that. And he's like, it's a terrible feeling and it kind of never goes away or something like that. I don't remember. But he's like, didn't seem to really want to talk a lot about it and get really in depth into what it was like to be possessed.
It's
like
probably
it's
a super traumatic
touchy
experience.
Oh, I would imagine.
Well,
I mean,
I think...
could you imagine being possessed by 40 some odd demons and just being like,
right,
it's all good now? No,
I have my hands full with one. I don't want another 41 in me.
yeah,
They're attached to
nothing. I'm good. I'm good on that. I don't think I want any. Nope. I'm out. Bye. Did not sign up for this.
Right, and I think that is gonna about do it for the show tonight. Unless there's any more closing thoughts that you would like to add.
No, all except for the fact that I'll just reiterate that these are based on our findings and our opinions on our findings. And don't apologize, Alice. I
You know, Alice,
appreciate it.
you had a lot of really good questions.
You were on it. Like, I felt like we was being legit interviewed. Can it happen again? I got chills.
So, like Jan was
Don't
saying,
apologize.
this is primarily an entertainment show. We are not lecturers, we are not professors, we're not scientists, whatever. We don't do super in-depth research. And what we talk about here on the show is, our opinions of our findings. None of this, like, what we talk about, none of this should be taken as hard fact. Always do your own research.
Do your own research from your own opinion. This is ours on our research.
Yep. Exactly. And with that, I think that is going to be it for the show. Once again, I am ShinyMikablu. This is my lovely co-host, Vineyardtrio. If you do !co-host in chat, you can get all of her socials. And yeah, I think the next episode of Talk Horror, or Horror Talk, sorry. I had another show similar to this called Talk Horror on a different channel that was canceled. But yes, Horror Talk. The next episode will be on Monday, September 26th. Why is that not working?
Oh, now your bot is broken.
Is it not co-host? I have a... Anyway, the next episode will be on September 26th. Oh, I know why. I forgot to actually that one. Try it again, Snowy.
You're right.
My mistake.
You don't want my socials anyway.
Yeah, Snowy, try it again. It should work now. Yes, the next episode, we will be discussing different horror movie franchises, possibly individual movies within those franchises, and we will be doing tier lists. Possibly with guest stars. Guests. Guest stars? Are they stars? Guests. Anyway. But, yes.
Us.
Oh, went robotic.
What?
You went robotic for a couple seconds.
I did. Look at that. Ooh.
Yeah.
Anyways, they're stars to us. I went like this and made a really creepy face so that I won't do it again. I'm sorry, my bad.
But yes, that will be the next episode. We will be doing different tier lists. If you have any ideas for movies and or horror franchises that you would want to see ranked in tier lists, pop them. You can either send them to me directly here on Twitch, and send them to me on Twitter, at ShinyMikablu, which you can see right down below me. You can send them to Jan on Twitter as well. You can see her socials there as well. Or you can do, you can post them in the Horror Talk channel on Discord. !Discord to get the link to join my server.
I need to point outwards when I point down. Because when I pointed like this, it looked like I was saying, yeah, you can catch me at my socials, which is my crotch.
And with that, have a good night, everyone. See you all next time.